This afternoon, we are also following the latest developments in the Karmelo Anthony appeal. His lawyers now asking for a new trial for him. Anthony is currently serving 35 years in prison for killing Austin Metcalfe at a high school track meet in Frisco last year.
The testimony today included that there are allegations of a history of violence and racist incidents involving Austin and Hunter Metcalfe. The courtroom also heard testimony that there was a problem also in some history with Karmelo Anthony's character and background, and both prosecutors and defense attorneys were trying to keep this out of the original trial. Now, Anthony's lead attorney, Mike Howard, took the stand this afternoon, and he testified why he and co-counsel Toby Shook made an agreement with prosecutors to keep that information about the character and background of the Metcalfe twins out of this, and also about Karmelo Anthony. Now, Howard testified that the defense learned that there were more than 53 incidents involving Austin and Hunter Metcalfe in which they're accused of fighting, assaulting other students, and using racial slurs against black students. He also testified that in a couple of cases they were accused of assaulting young women, and that teachers had complained that sometimes they were making derogatory comments towards teachers. And Howard said that some of those incidents went all the way back for years and showed a history and a pattern of violence and aggressive behavior on the part of Hunter and Austin Metcalfe.
Okay, so that covers that side of it, Rebecca, but there was also testimony, as you said, about information about Karmelo Anthony that defense attorneys wanted to exclude. Can you say more?
Yeah, don't leave that out. We gotta, hold on. We gotta make sure we get that black son of a, we gotta get him.
More about that?
Yes, so Bill Wertzke, the prosecutor in this case, an opening statement said that he also has information about the character of Karmelo Anthony and some of his background. And he also said that there was an incident on the day that this happened when Austin Metcalfe was killed, where Karmelo Anthony's ex-girlfriend went to an assistant principal and said that he'd been stalking her and she was afraid of him and that he was spiraling. And she also said that he had an affinity towards guns, knives, and fights, and she was very concerned. And Bill Wertzke says he plans to present all of that when it's his turn.
Okay, so Rebecca, when you go through all of this, for anyone who paid attention to the trial, they know that none of this came out during the actual trial. Why is that?
So there was this gentleman's agreement that neither one of them was going to bring this up, that they were going to run a clean trial and they wouldn't bring up the character issues. But at the last minute, the defense attorneys are now saying that Bill Wertzke, the prosecutor, said that he was going to bring this up if Karmelo Anthony took the stand, and therefore they didn't present any of this evidence. They said they would have otherwise done so. And so now they are asking his new attorneys for a new trial, saying that there are some legal issues with what happened in the first trial, and they want a new trial. Jason.
Boy, you weren't kidding, Rebecca. There was a lot to unpack there from this day in the courtroom. Thanks so much for sitting in on all of that and walking us through it here. Really appreciate it.
Wow, that's something, ain't it, fam? I know when I first initially heard about this, I was taken back because I was like, I didn't know anything negative about Karmelo Anthony, But I could say I have my own theories about what's most important from this. We ain't going to overlook Karmelo Anthony's his text messages. But Bill, how can I say this? It seems to me that 53 pages, you said 53 pages, 55 pages of disciplinary shit might outweigh some text messages to your girl. Did he do something to his girl? Did he got some he had some police reports or something? He just do something? Or we talking about he just privately sent a text message? She was, okay. Yeah, we're gonna get to it, man. It's amazing how the media treats this. It's also dirty as hell. If they had an agreement not to bring this stuff in, and I get it, sometimes cases I've seen this happen where you can't bring in anything that happened. This ain't new. You can't bring in anything that didn't happen that day. Right? And I've seen that. And maybe in some other cases you didn't know. That's why you don't know anything about the certain backgrounds of the people that are in the trial or whatever. You might not know anything because they can get the judge to get that excluded. So I'm not that, I'm not unfamiliar with that tactic, but they threatened to reveal all of Carmelo's issues, and that left him unable to, to get on the stand, which would nullify basically, I think, the trial. I mean, if you tie someone's hands, arms behind their back and say they can't get up and defend themselves in a self-defense case and tell people why they defended themselves, that seemed a little crazy. Also, there's the element of not letting the trial be public, which is a violation of the Sixth Amendment. You're supposed to let the trial be public. We're supposed to be able to see what happened. We're supposed to have this be an open book to the public, and it wasn't. So I think just on those two grounds, without even judging what's being said about Austin and what's being said about Karmelo. But let's keep going, fam. I got a couple more clips. Let's break down a little bit further about Austin and about Karmelo Anthony.
This convicted killer Karmelo Anthony's retrial hearing continues today as the judge is considering a trove of evidence that the jury never saw, including disturbing text messages that were sent by Anthony. Todd Pyro joins us now with the latest. Todd?
Ainsley, good morning. The fate of Karmelo Anthony's retrial attempt remains undecided as his hearing for a new trial continues this morning. Prosecutors revealing disturbing new texts showing Anthony threatening to murder his girlfriend around the time Austin Metcalfe was stabbed in the heart at a high school track meet. One text from Anthony reads, quote, "How many bullets you want coming out of your chest?" Anthony sending another saying, quote, "When I stab somebody, I'm gonna lick their blood off the blade." And this text sent 2 hours before Metcalfe was murdered reading, quote, "I'm low-key on the verge." After receiving these threatening texts, Anthony's ex-girlfriend allegedly told an assistant principal he was stalking her. Prosecutors adding Anthony had a history of getting into fights and an obsession with knives and guns. This information just now being revealed to the jury, or just now being revealed, I should say, was kept under wraps by both sides as a gentleman's agreement, promising to not use the text as evidence ahead of Anthony's original murder trial. The defense had agreed not to speak on victim Austin Metcalfe's juvenile criminal history, which included graffiti and incidents of Metcalfe bullying minority students, being violent, and using racial slurs. Anthony's team now claiming the agreement violated his constitutional rights and contributed to his decision not to testify. The court's going to hear more testimony today.
Well, okay. Let me get this right. He has a history of getting into fights. I want to know more about this history. Is he around the way boy known to get into fights? Or you got something like, I don't know, you got some stuff from his school? Or you got some police reports? What you got? That he was fond of knives and guns? Had he used knives and guns on people? Because I know when my son was 13, he had this thing for swords. You know, that doesn't mean he never did anything to anybody with any swords, but he used to love swords. And I think he still does. And now he's grown, he's almost a grown man now, and he's never done anything with anybody with any swords, but he thought swords were cool. He always thought swords were cool. And kids were raised in certain environments or under certain conditions may have a fondness for guns. And that's just, they look at TV, they watch movies, they think, I love guns. And they just have a thing for them. It doesn't mean they've ever done anything with anybody to hurt anybody with a gun. It just means they like guns. They have a fondness for guns. It doesn't necessarily mean, so gotta be careful about how much weight you give what they're saying, because they're saying it for a reason. Now, I do find it troubling, and I ain't gonna talk around this. If you sent your girlfriend a text message, how many shots you want in your chest, bullets, that's a threat. Yeah, that's a threat, fam. You can't sugarcoat that. That's not good. Then, if you say something about licking the blood off of a knife after you stab someone, that may That's kind of hard to get past that. Like, then you stab someone. Even though it's not her, thank God. And I'm sure that's what her family's thinking. I'm pretty sure that's what she is thinking. What I'm saying is, we ain't got to sugarcoat that. That's not good. Nah, man, I'm not going to pretend that that's okay. You know, because it's incriminating as hell. I want to shoot up everybody. Then you shoot somebody. You go, that ain't why. I just did that because I was afraid. Explain. Yeah, he got a lot of explaining to do. He got a lot of explaining to do. So let's be clear, man, just so you know where I'm coming from. Up to this point, I said, I don't feel that Karmelo Anthony planned to kill Austin Metcalfe. I thought that was overcharging. Now I need to hear Karmelo Anthony's testimony more than ever. More than ever. Because now we're setting up a situation where he's talking about doing something to somebody, unaliving someone, and then he unalives someone. We can't be honest people. I'm not an honest commentator if I don't acknowledge that's a problem. And you got to put any bias aside, because that could have been your child. Right? And your child could have been the victim. You wouldn't want anybody to put that aside for you. So yeah, we need Karmelo Anthony damn sure. I hope they grant him a new trial, if for no other reason than to hear his explanation to that shit. Because you got to answer for this. What else? Because, and also bear in mind, there's everything's not being released in the text messages. Do you think Karmelo just said these things in a vacuum and nothing else was said to him in a text message? You have no idea what she may have said in the text message. She may have said, I'm going to shoot up your house. He may have said, you don't know now, we don't know. She may have said, I'm going to get my brothers to shoot up your house. He may have said, you're going to be digging bullets out your ass. That would put a different spin on it, wouldn't it? But see, they don't have any obligation in this news report. The defense has the prosecutor has no obligation to give you full context that damages the state's case. So I know I'm going to have people that's going to take it and run with it. What I'm saying is, you don't know the context of what's being said. And you may say, there was no context where that was acceptable. Well, if someone threatens you, you may threaten them back. So we don't know. We don't know. So once again, we need more information to make an informed decision. That makes sense? Well, now since we dragged out Karmelo's situations, let's bring out some Austin Metcalfe, because I remember fondly Jeff Metcalfe, the father of Austin Metcalfe, going on TV saying he didn't want to make this about race. And how dare we make this about race? Turns out he raised a couple of racists. Who didn't see that coming, Charleston White? You goofball. You're lame. You couldn't see that with the watermelon felon line? Check it out, fam. Let's get to it. Yeah, I know my comment section's on fire.
Texas has also learned new details about Austin Metcalfe's background. Metcalfe and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK Kill All Blacks and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation. Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism." There are several documented instances of Austin using racial slurs in school, and in 2023, Austin was accused of bullying a black student in class. In 2018, while still in elementary school, Austin and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to his arrest. During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach. He was also kicked out of a football game and texted someone later, "I was about to beat the expletive out of those kids." At a previous track meet, when another student alerted Austin that someone not on their team, quote, "behind our bench was talking wild," Austin reportedly replied, "Kill that MF." During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in-school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 reveal that Austin reportedly called a teacher the B word and used profanity. He told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth. In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, Austin saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game. In 2021, he got banned from attending basketball games for a season after yelling profanity at a player. Metcalfe also got suspended after he and another student were talking about bringing a gun to school the following day.
Next up with
Okay. That provides a little bit of texture to it, don't it? Makes things seem a little bit more interesting on both sides of the coin, doesn't it? It is sad, fam, that if you're on X or one of these social media sites and your algorithm's only decorated one way, you might not even hear this. Yeah, like if you support Karmelo Anthony, you're probably going to only get one side of the equation. And if you support Austin Metcalfe or Jeff Metcalfe or anti-Karmelo Anthony, you're only going to get the other side of the equation. That's why, I pride myself in bringing you both so you can be pissed off at both sides. So let me get this right. We got a little bit of difference I see in the backgrounds of both of these young people. One is, it seems like the authorities were involved with Austin, with Karmelo not so much. Kind of strange. KKK, huh? Kill all the N-words, huh? Bullying black kids, beating up black kids, beating up women. See, I didn't hear them say that about Karmelo Anthony, and you know damn well if they had that type of background on Karmelo, they would have been using it. Yeah, they would have stated it. Yeah, we got records of him beating up his girlfriend. We got records of him beating up others and pulling knives and stabbing people. But what we have here with Austin is him doing things, not saying things in a text, doing things, fighting, bullying. Kind of puts things in perspective about what happened that day. There were a lot of people online, but I think we got to give them some love. We got maybe some apologies to some of our TikTokers who were saying how they heard that Austin was a bully and people kept saying, this is bullshit, it's rumors. Turned out it was facts. Turned out he was a bully. In-school suspension, probation, Heil Hitler. Yeah, man. Jeff Metcalfe is up here crying and blubbering on the film or on video, and I get it because he's a dad and he lost his son. And look, man, I get that, man. I truly understand and can relate to that. But fam, you don't get to all of a sudden wipe clean the background of your child. You know what kind of son you had this whole time. In fact, was he living with you when he was doing all the KKK, Hitler, Nazi shit? No wonder why you say you don't want to make this about race, because you're a racist. And you probably have something to do with them being racist themselves. Wow. Austin Metcalfe and his dad make the Nolan Wells kids seem like Gary Owen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in comparison. Jesus Christ. He literally told a doctor that he couldn't control himself. Anger and rage counseling. So do people still think do people still think there was nothing said under that tent? Does anybody besides me believe that the people were lying about or lying for Austin Metcalfe and his family when they talked about what was said and what actually went down under that tent? I mean, it was so blurry, we really couldn't see it that well. But you really don't think Austin Metcalfe made verbal threats to Karmelo Anthony? Yeah, now I know he said some stuff in text to his girlfriend, which is some punk shit. But I don't know. I got a feeling a kid with anger management issues who's prone to living out racist attitudes, racist beliefs, and actually doing violence and racism towards people, onto people, even girls. I got a feeling he had some choice words for Karmelo Anthony under that tent. But if you got a defense attorney and he's not going to bring this shit up no matter what to save your life, what kind of a defense lawyer is that, fam? That ain't a defense lawyer, man. That's somebody working with the other side. I mean, how could you not divulge that? This is the case. This is the case. This is a scary young man. He's bigger, he's threatening, and he's kicked people's ass. They ain't putting in this thing what Karmelo did to kick people's ass. This guy was beating people's ass. You don't think, look, know this. If they had evidence that Karmelo Anthony was beating people up and he had a history of kicking ass, not text messages, that would be in this list of things they're bringing out now. They would be talking about that. Huh. The only thing about it is, and it's a big thing, it's not a small thing. The only thing about it, only one person lost their life that day, and that was Austin Metcalfe. And I've always been of the opinion that I was sorry that happened to that young man. I'm sorry for his trouble. But let's not forget, he did put his hands on Karmelo Anthony. It was not the other way around. So for all this shit, people are saying, for all of the pearl clutching and the vindication, and I'm sure we got a couple of Karens on Twitter or X and Facebook. Yeah, like that Sally Fields character. I'm sure they're not mentioning the fact that all this doesn't change the fact Karmelo Anthony hadn't put his hands on anybody that day. It was Austin Metcalfe who initiated the contact. And we now know, more than likely, he wasn't just patting him on the back as a friend. More than likely, it wasn't the nicest conversation or interaction. And we got a lot of liars under that damn tent. Because you ain't got no cameras there, you got no adults there, and we got a guy with a history of violence. And he don't seem like he liked black people either. And you mean to tell me nobody under the tent's like, yeah, Austin, he was the aggressor, when it's obvious he was? At the end of the day, one person ran away. I stand on my square, fam. Of course I want to hear what Karmelo's explanation is. That's the difference to me, but still, that's the difference between murder, self-defense, and I know in Texas, there's really no manslaughter. That's the problem. But we need to know that. We need to know exactly what was going through the mind of Karmelo Anthony. But after hearing this about Austin, yeah, you may have in your mind, you may be like, yo, I got a knife and I'm going to kill somebody if somebody messes with me and all this and all that. And people could talk smack all the time. People talk smack. Did he talk smack about killing Austin Metcalfe? And who initiated this physically? I come back to that, fam. I come back to that. Those are important points. Those are important points, and I think we can't overlook them. And no matter how surprised and taken aback we are, and I know, like I was in the beginning when I heard it, you saw me. I saved the most damaging parts to hear for a live reaction because I want this to be authentic. And it was troubling hearing him say, you know, those things about his girlfriend or licking blood off a blade. It also sounds goofy, like some shit you said of a movie. Was he torturing animals or something? Is somebody buried under the stairs? I mean, it just sounds like a young kid talking dumb shit. Does not sound, because there's nothing to go with it. It's just words. Hell, it sounds like, for lack of a better term, it sounds like some Ghetto Boys 1989 lyrics. It don't sound real. So now you want us to believe Karmelo Anthony is a serial killer because he wrote some unsettling text messages? Meanwhile, we got Ed Norton from American History X doing Heil Hitler's and writing KKK and kill all the blacks. And that's not the word he's using, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, we got reasons to believe maybe Austin planning to do some curb stomping, romper stomper. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know, fam. I want the retrial to happen. I'm not going to back off my stance. I still believe if it wasn't for the aggressive nature of Austin Metcalfe, he's probably still here. I mean, it's not missed on me, man. We are talking about someone losing their life. But I'm telling you, fam, there's a lot here to unpack. Get us a real trial. Get all the evidence out there. Also, don't forget to mention, Karmelo Anthony dove in the pool and saved some kid's life. That part's not in the text message, is it? Just might want to throw that in there if we are assassinating character based on text messages. Somebody got a rap sheet and somebody don't, is what I'm looking at. We got text messages on Karmelo, and we got a rap sheet a mile long, 54 pages of brutality and racism from Austin and aggressive activity. And we got Karmelo talking about it. And we got Austin doing it. But once again, Austin's dead. All right, fam. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section, man. I know we got a fire comment section on this one. I'm not going to buckle. I'm not going to buckle, fam. Yeah. That's a lot to overlook of Austin. You can't dismiss Karmelo's, because he sent those text messages. Those text messages went out that day and they involved a knife. If I'm taking the defense or I'm taking the prosecution at their word. And like I said, we don't know the context. But I'm not going to dismiss Austin Metcalfe because I'd always believed he was the aggressor. And now we have evidence or we have proof, even though we don't have any eyewitnesses that will actually admit he was aggressive. I mean, they admitted it originally and then they all changed their stories. All of a sudden, it was Karmelo who was aggressive as he was sitting on the bench. It was weird. All right, fam. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section, fam. What are we doing? How we doing, y'all? I'm trying to tell y'all, fam, some people are quick to switch sides on stuff. I know I see some people online switching sides. I'm like, what's going on, fam? Now, you can't just listen to what someone says and then all of a sudden change your whole stance. Hopefully, you did not come to your conclusions flippantly just based off one thing you heard someone say. We don't switch our stance based on that because, like I say, it does not change what happened that day. That day, Austin was aggressive towards Karmelo and Karmelo acted. Did he do the right thing? I still don't think he did the right thing, fam. I don't. But I don't think it was murder. I've been consistent with that. And some people disagree with me, say, Tim, no, he deferred. I understand. I still wish he would have did something different. I would want him to do something different, whether it was Karmelo Anthony or my son or anybody else's son. You understand what I'm saying? But murder is totally out. It's totally overkill. Way too far. Let's keep tracking this one. Now, look, guys, my understanding, the judge may come back with a ruling on this thing tomorrow. So if they come back with a ruling tomorrow, I'm going to go live. I'm going to jump all over this. I'm going to talk about it live tomorrow if that happens. Of course, the internet's going to internet. And the racists are going to do racist, say racist things. They cannot accept, nor will they be honest at the fact that it was Karmelo that had a mom and dad living at home, in a home that's pretty well, you know? And it was Austin with the ripped up childhood with all the anger issues and all of the problems and a dad that was estranged and drinking and all this craziness who just found the Lord a couple of years ago. You know, it was him. It was that family. But they don't want to accept that. They have to deny those realities. All right, y'all. You're watching the most dangerous show in America. Why? Because we are not afraid of the truth. Lies are easy. The truth is dangerous. Stay dangerous. All right?
Next up with Tim Black.